representation?
Canada is making very good strides towards diversity. Very good strides. They've been doing it for 10 years. Give it 90 years and let's see how it goes. That's my argument. We've been doing it for 100 years. We've been doing it for 500 years. Other people want to say they're diverse like us. Prove it. And the only way you can prove it is with time. Oh, we have a bunch of immigrants coming. Yeah, you've done that for 10 years. Let's see if it works out. You don't have proof. We have proof. We have escrow. That's the point.
Yeah, you know, I've often thought, I've done a lot of traveling in my life. Coming to the Bay Area, it's such a diverse population, and I'm talking specifically the Bay Area, not necessarily California, though I know it applies to other areas too. And I've often said and thought, my goodness, if the rest of the world got along as well as Californians do, there would be no problem. It's like, how come we don't have, you know, we more or less live together. I know there are problems at times, but on the whole, we do.
Even though you talk funny.
Even though I talk funny. Even though I
Let's take a look at our
especially
Olympic
because I
team.
do.
Yes.
We field an Olympic team, and you look at everybody else, and they all look the same. We field an Olympic team, and we all look different.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for the, I read in the last week, for the first time, Santa Clara County, where we are now, is now second to New York in the most diverse populations in the country. Yeah.
Yeah. New York's diverse only in downtown Manhattan Island.
Okay.
The moment you leave that little tip of New York City where Sex and the City's filmed, it looks like the rest of the Midwest. There is no diversity.
Okay, so it's just that little,
I would say it's just that little tiny tip, which is smaller than San Francisco City.
wow.
That's your diverse part for the entire northeast of America. We have that level of diversity, and I'm from Fresno, the Central Valley. People don't think it's as diverse as the Bay Area and LA. It is. We have diversity throughout. We are diverse everywhere. You might have some diversity in downtown Seattle, downtown New York. The rest of Washington State, no. The rest of New York State, no. We're the only state with that level of diversity. There are tiny metro pockets with it. We're the only people.
Good to know.
Your remarks about sovereignty, our country has an advantage. Our Constitution provides for what we call federalism.
Right.
The states are, at one time, were sovereign nations that bound together and elected this Constitution, but reserved to the states, at least in theory, everything that the Constitution does not grant the federal government the power to do. So built into our system, if we only followed it, which we haven't done for the last 80 years, is the sovereignty concept that you were talking about, I believe. But that would take a radical shift in our national and local politics to get people to remember what federalism is, or was supposed to be, and then have the political willpower to actually implement it and reverse course on that level.
Absolutely. We're strategizing that would take forever. You want to get all of America to return to what the Founding Fathers talked about. Well, they've been debating that for 200 years. So let's do a new strategy that works just for California. The Civil War said that once you voluntarily join the Union, you cannot leave the Union. Here's the kicker. California and Hawaii, of all 50 states, never voluntarily joined the Union. They were independent governments. The US government had relations with them for 100 years, and then the US militarily invaded them and took them over. That is not the way that 40 other states joined. So if the Union is strong because of the way that states joined the Union, and it has 48 states doing it this one way, you cannot say that it's okay for these two to not join the same way. President Clinton issued an apology to Hawaii for the way that they were grabbed into the Union. California was joined the exact same way. You have foreign legal scholars recognizing California's case, and that America's current foreign policy of the last 30 years, particularly in Bosnia, Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya, violates the way that America grabbed California. This has never been talked about, it's never been brought up, the federal government doesn't discuss this. Now, what would happen if you had a US president in front of the World Court saying, we've got this great strong union, but these two countries were militarily grabbed and yanked into the union? That's not gonna hold up. The way that California joined the union, the closest modern parallel is the way the Soviets invaded Afghanistan. The Soviets had some Afghan people live in Russia for a while. They made them, or converted them into communism. Then they transplanted them back into Afghanistan. They were like 1% of the population. This group tried to take over Afghanistan. And then when the people of Afghanistan, the other 99%, said you can't do that, the Soviet Union invaded and crushed them. That's exactly what America did in California in 1849. The entire world condemned that, and so did America. If America actually has to explain its behavior to the world and talk about how it grabbed these states this way, it's going to have a hell of a time doing it. That's our way.
We have about 2 more minutes.
Any other questions?
Well, thank you, Marcus.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.